So hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. This week I wanted to do a quick video about plastic surgeries and cosmetic procedures because there's something that I have considered many times in the past. I used to have these very detailed plans about all the plastic surgery that I'm going to go through, and I also had very detailed plans about how I am going to pay for all of it. I used to very passionately hate my stupid hairline, uneven eyebrows, bumpy nose, thin lips, square-shaped jaw, tiny boobs, and even the nipples on them. And before my therapy, I was quite positive that I would never be happy unless all of these things would be fixed in my lifetime. Have you noticed, by the way, that when people go to have plastic surgery, very often they use the word fix to describe what they are doing to their bodies, when in reality, actually, almost all noses that are operated or lips that are plumped full of hyaluronic acid or Botox or whatever are working completely fine even before the procedures and are doing their jobs as lips and noses as they should be. I know that there definitely is a standard to what beauty is in our society nowadays, but for fixing things, something would have to be broken first. So what is actually broken here? Well, it doesn't take a genius or a scientist to understand that with plastic surgery, it might actually be more about your broken self-esteem. And nobody can obviously be blamed for that in today's society because the media is doing everything they can to make us feel worse about ourselves. And then they later offer exits from our insecurities, from which we pay with our hard-earned money with in return. And just to be clear, I understand 100% if someone gets plastic surgery if you've been, say, bullied for all of your life from a feature that you have. All in all, I think that people are free to do what they want with their own bodies. But what kind of makes me sad is that so many people say that they are doing plastic surgery for themselves, and that the changes that they are making are a personal preference of what a person should look like. Yet, have you ever seen anyone going to a cosmetic procedure to go from a C cup to an A cup, or to get a bigger nose, or to get smaller lips, or something like that? Or anything that doesn't fit the stereotypical beauty standards? Maybe the personal preferences that we have aren't actually our own, but they are taught to us by the media. And here's a thought. How many of us would want to go through opening our bodies, or having our noses hammered down, or sticking needles to our lips if we would have to later live alone on a deserted island and no one would be there to see the outcome of our surgeries? I'm pretty sure none of us would do that. So can I really say that if I went to plastic surgery, I would be doing it for me if I didn't actually have any structural faults in my body? What is also very sad, I think, is that the more people have these surgeries and the more people look the same, the more people also are pressured to look the same. If 100% of Hollywood celebrities would look the same, which we are not actually very far from, probably no one, especially youngsters who are very impressionable, would believe that it is possible to achieve that kind of success without looking a certain way. So thank God we have our Lady Gagas with a big Italian nose, and Madonnas with a wide tooth gap, or Emma Stone without silicone tits. Because these kinds of people really are crucial molds to us not feeling that we should fit into a certain mold. And actually every one of us that decides not to have plastic surgery and rock our bodies in the gorgeous state that they already are in are a part of actively fighting back to the narrow beauty standards that we have. You do not have to look like Beyoncé to be gorgeous. So that is all for today's pinch-sized video. If you agree with me, or even if you don't, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Remember to like and comment, and also remember to love yourself. Or whatever, you know, that's your call. See you in the next video. Bye-bye! Blah blah. People are really hard-earned money with Helvetti!